blah blah, and then oh my God, I realized I was in love. Those are those types of things. But if you go, yeah, my bad first date, never did. People will be alone for a long time. So that's my hope on youth.
Well, another thought that I have is we're talking about, doing things in the organization and stuff, but if we're going to appeal to young people, we need to say, okay, here's what the organization can do for you. And I think if we could figure that out, as a way of appealing to young people, we need to figure out, okay, what are they looking for? What do they want? And are they things that this organization, can possibly give them? I mean, whether they be, making friends, meeting a partner. I'm just thinking out loud right now, but, becoming better at speaking, becoming a leader. I really think we need to figure those things out.
And I guess the question is, how do you do that?
Yeah. Well, I think maybe do a focus group and ask people not. You could do a couple of focus. One, you could do a focus group of people who joined NABWMT when they were younger. And what was their focus? So you could talk to a Regis. You could talk to Paul, who's on the board. You could talk to myself or to Colin. Folks who, for whatever reason, got involved with either the local chapters or the national. And if you did it really well, you paid someone to really come up with some of the answers. Tap into actually what was the motivation and capture all that. I think a lot of times we think it's something that we know, and we may know, but it's always good to have as you know, document what you know. That would be but then, even external of that, to do a needs assessment, and this may be where it may cost a few bucks, and I'm not sure what the state of NA's finances are, but I venture to say that I could, if I told somebody, if you gave me a tool, it could be an online tool to save some money, but if you would give me, if you want to do an input, when the task force wanted to, and of course I know we don't have the $20,000, but part of the task force early on was a knowledge, attitudes, beliefs, and behaviors assessment tool. It took an hour or so to give it. I forget, there was, I think, maybe a stipend given to the person who conducted the survey, but not the interviewer, but I'm not sure. But we got 988 people to complete those assessments nationwide. Prior to that, we did a lot of training, and that was only one aspect. But let's say we developed an assessment tool, and we have people like, James Credo, who works at Rutgers University. Lord knows he has access to researchers who could ask these questions. Within the organization, we have people who actually do research and have. John Bush developed the KABB survey. Develop some kind of an assessment tool, put some money behind it, say, okay, and identify one of directors or identify people in each city to say, okay, your job is to assess 20 people over the course of 6 months, and that shouldn't be too hard, but it might take by race, by ethnicity, even maybe by geographic, and say, what things would attract you to an organization like NABWMT? So you have on one hand an assessment of focus group people, this is why I joined, and you can document that. On the other hand, you have people who may not know who we are, may not have no clue who we are, but what are some of the things, we may find that some people are not organizational type people. I think a lot of people, are just not organizational type people. But I think you find a lot of people who may be, I don't think I was an organizational type person before I necessarily joined the organization. Now I'm just an organizational in San Francisco, but figure out what are some of the motivations that may make one join and test it out. But, and for the first time someone hears, X, Y, Z $1,000 behind it, and the first time someone says, well, raises the issue, well, we get that money, how do we know people are not going to blow it? You will defeat the cause. And I think in some cases you have to put something behind it and trust certain people just to do it. So.
Well, what What are your happiest recollections in this organization? And the saddest?
There's several happiness. One was John Bush taking me aside at a board meeting and just telling me that he thought I was doing a really good job. It was also good later on when he was upset that I had announced at the board meeting that I had broken up with Michael Manuelson, who a lot of people knew and loved. And he took me aside and said, I forgot what he said, but it was like, you were wrong to break up with that man. And I thought, in many ways, what a loving thing to do. What a loving thing to say to somebody. He wasn't reading me. It was more of a, that man was good for you. And so I have those memories. Being elected to the board in '85, that was a fun time. I was excited, and I was so that I've been working for the task force. When Reggie Williams told me that he had made a decision that was me, you couldn't touch me. I was too excited. I was absolutely too excited. I got to work. Because it allowed me to, I got to work professionally with the organization that I thought I knew. That kind of raised me to a certain degree. And I was going to get to interface. They're going to pay me money to go and develop workshops with people who I love dearly. How do you get better than that? I don't know how to get better than that. That things that I was doing voluntarily for the first 2 years, they say, well, come to San Francisco and we will pay you to do what you did on a volunteer level and do it full time. And I loved it. Absolutely loved it. It's probably to this date. I'm quite happy where I am right now with the city of San Francisco, but I don't think anything will beat that first initial burst of energy in the early 90s working full-time for the task force. Going to James Field's house for dinner, very first time during the 86th convention, and seeing James, who came out in this green, I won't say robe, but I mean, it was just like, okay, baby, mucho props, because it was his first time, one of his first opportunities of doing the Afrocentric stuff, and he was thin, he was thin a little bit, but he was very much aware of the theater of a last night event, and I was like, oh yeah, baby, that is the outfit. So there are many memories like that. Meeting Regis at the pool party and meeting
Which pool party was this?
the New Orleans pool party. Actually, talking to Regis at the pool party, just having a very nice discussion with him, and some ways that was somewhat tea, but the really niceness happened afterwards, after the convention had ended. There was like, hey, that was what I was trying. Actually, it's more not a convention, but and seeing actually going to Regis and seeing how much he was really respected and how much the Philadelphia detectives cared about each other was quite fun to see that in Philadelphia. Some of my favorite moments. My saddest moments. Finding out Delta Hughes had been murdered. Less than a week after I last saw him. I remember exactly where I was when Tim Wilson called me about that. When Coates had passed away as well. I think in part those two, it was not expected. Later, in the late 80s and 90s, there was an expectation where you knew people were sick. And the last time I saw Tom Horn, I thought this might be the last time I might see Tom, or Reggie Williams devastated me. And in many ways was an educational way. Become so hardened by HIV and everything. How high is the death of Reggie? I remember crying for days. I mean, literally days after that, and during that. his memorial service. I remember going to a restaurant in Oakland with my friend. I'm sure people thought we were lovers. I was with my friend Anthony, and thought I had together, and we were talking, and he was like, "It's going to be okay." I was like, "It's not going to be okay. It is not okay." And I mean, I was just like, the tears are flowing, and I thought, like, oh, these two queens, and it was not about Anthony at all. I was just devastated. And in many ways, it was good to really love someone that way and be so hurt by someone dying of HIV and made HIV real again. I mean, the consequences of HIV, very, very, this is what it's about. And to lose Reggie, I still can't make up for that. Even though in hindsight, he was dying he was clearly dying that last year, but he had kind of come up and like, oh, I'm back again so many times that I remember 3 or 4 years before he died, everyone thought he was death knell for Reggie. People were going after him, and Reggie survived and was, vibrant. I think maybe organizationally wise, it was the 87 convention, which is a very painful, very, very painful period. With no fault of the folks from Milwaukee, I thought it was the most bitter convention we've had. And it's a shame to say that. I don't mean to besmirch anyone in Milwaukee who put that convention on, because it was...
Well, it was the issue.
It was the name change and how that reverberated through the whole NA, and there were lines that were drawn, and if we don't do another Milwaukee for as long as the NA lives, that'd be a good thing. And although I think the issue actually could be raised. I don't think the issue is even relevant now.
Well, it was raised in Cleveland.
Okay.
The name change.
That's right.
The agreement, remember, after Milwaukee,
the
formal agreement was that as soon as more than half the chapters had changed, it would be raised again, and it was, and it was just knocked down.
But there's also, one of your brethren directors said, and I won't name him, said, well, there was something after Mike Smith's trust said that he will give money to as long as the organization exists, and one of your current directors said, we should elect Mike Smith, who has passed away a year or two ago, since he wants to roll from the grave. We should just elect him, and I just thought that played a role in other decisions as well, too, because, Mike Smith.
There was every indication that the trust might be in jeopardy if we changed their name.
Yeah. And but I think in Milwaukee Convention, just the seemingly sudden death of some real good guys.
What are your most enjoyable and least enjoyable memories?
Well, most enjoyable, I mean, I can think of just so many. Just going back, I can think about the banquet at my first convention in Cleveland. Just the overwhelming sense of joy that I had just being there and just seeing how alive everyone was, and how excited they were to be a part of this organization, and I felt so good that I had joined this group. I mean, I had felt good about it before then, but I mean, I guess just at that moment, I was just like on such a high, at that point. Going to the Pittsburgh Regional, the first Pittsburgh Regional back in 1995, the riverboat cruise that they had, and just how much fun that was. Just every single convention, seeing people that you only see sometimes once a year or even fewer times than that. Especially the Philadelphia banquet, the convention in Philadelphia, the banquet at that point, just seeing all the hard work that everybody in Philadelphia had put into come to a fruition at that point, and how well it turned out was just wonderful. I think on the local level, just all the numerous potlucks that I've been to, the CRs, just different workshops the group has had. I remember I hosted probably about 6 or 7 different potlucks over the years in my apartment when I lived in the Philadelphia suburbs, and just seeing everybody there together, and just, I mean, it wasn't a super large apartment. It was a 1-bedroom, but we got everybody in there. And I remember I had trepidation about hosting one, and Nate O'Neill was like, "We've hosted them in places half the size of yours." So I was like, "Okay, I'll do it." And just cleaning my apartment all day long and getting ready for it, and having everybody come and have a good time, and also inviting my straight friends at the same time, and just seeing how well that everybody got along together. And I remember the last potluck that I had hosted before moving out of the Philadelphia area, just my sister and her husband and her niece came, and to be able to bring these two worlds together was just so wonderful. Meeting Gavin, of course, just 2 years ago at the New Orleans convention, just made me so happy that night. And there were so many things. I mean, I know I'm probably leaving out a lot, but it's just
not to kiss up to the documentary, but one of my favorite, there's a couple of segments, some of the regional stuff. One of the best memories was the PCRN in Seattle back in '85, I believe it was, and then you and Neil and I went up to Victoria and Vancouver. That PCRN in Seattle was a magical weekend. I don't know what it was. I was telling Regis, everyone seemed to come back in love with somebody, despite the fact that they may have had other loves in their hometowns, but everyone seemed to have a strong crush on somebody they had met there. But it was also just a very good magical time. It was just a really good time both in Seattle, but the trip that we went afterwards, and then another trip at the National Convention in Key West, going on a little 2-week journey with James and his partner Jan Herman and my boyfriend at the time Matthew, going almost like 2-week journey. And I put those two memories, I think of those two memories in part because it's hard to quantify what happens, the magic that happens at a meeting or a discussion, but it's the friendships and those trips that that we take with those friends that we've met, that we have that common bond, and that is so even if we don't see each other but once a year, we're there.
What about your saddest memories?
I guess seeing people who are no longer in the organization, just as Gavin was saying before, just looking in the convention book and just seeing people who I'd known from other chapters added to the list of names, and knowing that they're no longer with us. I mean, I guess that's probably the saddest thing of all. I guess before when I was saying just how excited I was about the convention banquet, at the same time, every year when the convention is over, in a way, it's also kind of sad because you're leaving all these people who many of which you love dearly. And, I just feel like it'd be so nice if we could just bottle all of that and just in a way take it with us somehow, and, that's probably, definitely up there with the saddest for me, although it's a different kind of sad.
Let me ask you one last question. What do you think is the future of this organization? Does it have one? What is it? What do you think?
It definitely has a future. I think the shape of the future is yet to be determined. I can see the organization going on as a family reunion, and I don't think that would necessarily be a bad thing. It will, in some sense, that we've not lived up to our potential, but I think that there is something very, very comforting that to know that, for it's only for 3 or 4 days, in my case, Douglas, or your case for 8 or 9 days a year, whatever it goes to, that I get that when I get the chance to connect with people that I may have only had no communication with, or exchange a couple of jokes. Someone read me today who apparently didn't know that we are together, and he goes, "We exchange all these jokes, and you've never told me, we don't talk about what's actually going on in our lives." And I realized that. That said, I also enjoy getting those little jokes and misses from friends from all around the country and sometimes around the world.
I think I had to hear about the two of you from a third party. I don't remember who it was.
Okay, so actually, it's probably Regis last year.
No. It was someone else that told me.
Okay.
I said, oh.
So
shows how little I pay attention.
Actually, since Regis and I met, and I had to leave for work, so kind of we met, we knew each other, but we kind of had a date at the bar, and then I left New Orleans like the day after, whatever. I was in New Orleans for less than 48 hours. I truly was. So yeah, I think that I feel really excited about the leadership of Paul and Wendell. Just the fact that there have been some press releases, things are going out, is, I think, a vast improvement of things that we've had in a long, long time. As with no disrespect to anyone who has served as chair or whatever, but for my money, it's a significant improvement in terms of creating a presence outside the organization, and how the organization grapples with the aforementioned issues of us becoming an older membership, us becoming, from the outside, I know you guys said it to me last year when I said this, but it's truly a comment that came verbatim outside the organization, being cliquish. And so don't get mad at me for telling you what other folks have said about us.
I don't even remember getting mad.
Oh, yeah, you said cheap shot. I remember that.
You're not supposed to insult the interviewer.
I'm supposed to love here. I love you, Douglas. I do. But how we address those issues will decide how we will be. I do not fear that in 2008 there will not be a convention. If we have 90 to 100 people here, which I guess is the count, that's enough to throw in a convention, obviously. And I have no doubt that, barring anything cataclysmic that happens, that you will be there in 5 years, I'll be there in 5 years, Regis, James, John, Tim. There are people who have never been very active on a national level, who I said, it's like Walt Barrow. I've known Walt, seems like forever. Have done exchanging emails with him. We spend 2 or 3 minutes at a convention catching up with each other, and that's it. But I remember thinking, where's Walt yesterday? Where's Daryl from Detroit? There's some folks who, and it's not, but yet Walt and Daryl and those folks are at every convention. And there's nothing to suggest that those folks will not be at future conventions, God willing. And so, and NA will live, and the convention, there will be checks that will be written to support. There will be the Madam X talent show, and that was a very good thing. That was a very good thing last night. The institutionalized the Madam X talent show. That is a darn good, very respectful thing, actually, honoring our history. So I have little doubt if I'm not sure to what degree we've grown, if not we've constricted, but let's say in '86, when I think we had over 100 people in the Black Caucus alone, that picture looks like, or at least 80 people in that Black Caucus picture, then who would imagine that that 15 years later you might have a convention with only less than 100 people? And it's, oh, why do it? And yet we're not size queens, so we don't have those big numbers all the time. But we do have that core of people who, will go on and on and on.
I really feel that the organization controls its own destiny. Whether it's going to be here 10 years from now. I mean, well, it's like Gavin said, it will be here in some form, but I guess what form it takes depends on whether members decide to take it, whether they decide to pick up the ball and say, okay, this is going to be our direction, we're going to go for it. And I just really think it's going to take a lot of thinking, brainstorming. You know, it's going to take a lot of work to decide where do we want to take this organization. And it's up to us to just commit to it and take it from there.
Well, is there anything you'd like to add?
I'm sure there are a few things I could add, but since I think we've gone for 4 hours and now it's only
It's only three. It's only three.
Three and a half.
You have set the record. This is the longest interview we've done.
Okay. Well,
But it is joint.
But it's two of us, yeah.
That's true. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Douglas.
Thank you.
Let's see how many minutes come up here.